Hey, Algebra 1, we're gonna do some problems here where we're now using our radical skills that we've been working on with some word problems and some applications. So if you remember from last chapter, we did some perimeter of rectangles and area, and let's take a look at a couple examples here. So for the perimeter of a rectangle, we need to add up all four sides. And so what I need to do is I need to label all four sides. So the top is 3 plus root 6, so is the bottom. And if the right side is square root of 6, so is the left side for a rectangle. And so then the perimeter, I'm going to add all those up. So I have 3 plus root 6 plus root 6 plus 3 plus root 6 plus root 6. And then I can combine my like terms. So I know I've got the 3 and the other 3, that's 6. So I'll have 6 plus, and then I have all those root 6's. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 6 plus 4 root 6. And that's going to be my answer for perimeter. Area of a rectangle is length times width. And so if I'm going to do the area, length times width, here I just need to do, let's do the square root of 6 times, that's one side, and then I multiply it by the other side, 3 plus root 6. I only do one side times the other. I don't need to use all four. And then I'm going to distribute that root 6 out. And so that gets me 3 root 6 plus the square root of 6 times the square root of 6. Remember, that's just 6. Right? Square root of 6 times square root of 6 is 6. And that's my answer for the area. For a triangle, again, perimeter is just adding up all the sides. So we can do that again. And actually, why don't you pause the video and try to do that on your own here. Add up all three sides of the triangle. Combine your like terms. So you should have 2, 3, and 3. We can add up those like terms. That's 6, 7, 8. Plus, and then my 6 root 2, root 2, and minus root 2. Well, that's going to be 6, 7, but then back to 6. So 6 square root of 2. So there's my perimeter. For area of a triangle, this is the formula 1/2 base times height. So I've got to multiply the base and the height together and then multiply it by 1/2. Well, the base of the triangle is the bottom, and the height is the perpendicular side, so that's the left side of this triangle. So my area of the triangle would be 1/2 times the base is 3 plus square root 2, and the height is 3 minus square root 2. So then to simplify it, I'm going to just leave the 1/2 outside in front for right now, and then I'm going to distribute 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times minus root 2 is minus 3 root 2. And then I'll go to the root 2, distribute that to 3 is plus 3 root 2. And then I distribute the root 2 times negative root 2 would be negative. Root 2 times root 2 is just 2. And here I've got some like terms. Minus 3 root 2 and plus 3 root 2 cancel out because they add up to 0. And then 9 minus 2 is 7. So I'm going to get equals, don't forget that 1/2 in front, times 7. Half of 7 is 3.5. There's my area. Okay. All right, so now in every right triangle, which is a triangle that has a right angle, we mark the right angle with that little box symbol. You can see it below in those pictures. Okay. In every right triangle, there are two legs and a hypotenuse. Okay. The legs we label A and B. So there's A and B, and the hypotenuse we label C, and that's always across from the right angle. And so when I say that, when I say across from the right angle, I took a look at the right angle, and it's that side across from it, which would be C. We call that C. And so in a triangle, we have something called the Pythagorean theorem. It's pretty famous. You might have heard of it. The formula for the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that's true in any right triangle. So here you can pause the video and kind of look at these examples of finding the length of a hypotenuse and finding the length of a missing side. We'll do a couple examples on the next page. All right, on this page, number 2, find the missing side length. So it's a right triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label the three sides as A, B, and C. The hypotenuse, the one that is the longest side, the one that's across from the right angle, that's always has to be C. So I start with my formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then I fill it in. Well, a is just the x, so it's x squared plus b is 8, so 8 squared equals c is 10, so 10 squared. So now that is x squared plus 64 equals 100. And I can subtract 64 minus 64. And so I get x squared equals 36. And now what we do is, we're going to learn this next chapter, but to solve for x here, we square root both sides. What number squared equals 36? Well, there's two options, right? 6 squared equals 36, but also negative 6 squared equals 36. So technically, we have to write x equals, we do this symbol called plus or minus 36. But could I have a negative side of a triangle? No. So I really just then say, well, x is 6. I can't have a negative side of the triangle, so we cross that off. But anytime we solve with a square root, we'll always do plus or minus. So let's try number 3. Label our sides. So I've got C is the one across from the right angle, so C would be x here. And then A and B, it actually doesn't matter which one you call A and which one you call B, which leg. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In this one, we would do a is 2, so 2 squared plus b is 1, 1 squared equals c is x, so x squared. So that is 4 plus 1 equals x squared. 5 equals x squared. And then here I would square root both sides. X equals plus or minus, and you just write square root of 5. But then I don't need the negative one, so we can cross that off. So it's just x equals square root of 5. Finally, let's try number 4. You start to get faster at these as you get better. C will be across from the right angle. Notice how I draw that arrow every time. You should do that. C. So then the other two you can call A and B. It doesn't matter which is which. A squared or plus B squared equals C squared. So then it's 4 squared plus X squared equals 8 squared. That's 16 plus X squared equals 64. Subtract 16. X squared equals 48. It's our favorite number. And I'm going to square root both sides. And we get x equals plus or minus. And what I'm going to try to do is break down the square root of 48. I know it's not a perfect square, but it's the one we know is 16 and 3. So we go square root of 16, square root of 3. I don't need the negative version because my side length of the triangle will always be positive. So it's going to be positive And then square root of 16 is 4. So I'll write 4 root 3, and there's my answer. All right, couple more problems. In example 5, I don't have a picture anymore. So it does label the letters for us though, A, B, and C. So this is almost easier. We don't have to worry about the triangle shape. It's just a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So here we would have 8 squared plus 15 squared equals, since it's not x this time in the picture, we can just keep it c squared. That's 64 plus, you might need your calculator, 225 equals c squared. C squared equals 289. And if we square root both sides, you can try it on your calculator, it's a perfect square. C would equal plus or minus 17, but then we just get C equals 17 because we're talking about length, so we need positive answer. For B, problem B, I have A and C. So here we could write 5 squared, that's A squared, plus B, I don't know, so B squared equals 13 squared. Pause the video and try this one out. All right, check your answer. Did you get B equals 12? If you didn't try it out, make sure you copy this down. All right, we will stop there. Thanks for watching.